In these families, children are expected to take care of their parents,
I truly believe that some of these parents have a child because in their head, a child will love them unconditionally and will never leave them. If the reason why they're created in the first place is to meet the parents' emotional needs, what can you expect when the child gets older?
And then the selective memory, how they forget all the things that they did to you growing up, all the horrible moments.
It's almost like they've thought the whole time that you were going to forget everything.
We're a happy family, God dang it. Communication is best when it's indirect.
Yikes.
Especially when there's one person that acts as the messenger for other people. That's what we call triangulation.
Hello and welcome back to the Anti-Alienation Project. My name is Maddie and here I talk about all things related to a certain type of child psychological abuse that I went through for 20 years. Parental alienation is when one parent manipulates their child to reject their other loving parent without true justification. This often happens during a divorce or a custody dispute, but not always. It can happen in intact families with parents still married. This is a very common form of abuse, but it's not really known about very well. So not many people know the term or the long-lasting effects and the damage it has on the child. That's why I speak out about this form of abuse, hoping to raise awareness. And I'm also on a journey to repair my relationship with my dad and take back my own life. Today's video is another TikTok reaction video. I think these are a good way to try to tap into a different audience that might have more people who haven't heard about this before. A lot of TikTok reaction videos on YouTube seem to draw in people who have not heard of parental alienation before, therefore seems to be a good method to alert more people to this form of abuse. I'm gonna stop talking now, let's just get right into the video. Our first video comes from a woman named Brown9170, and the title of this video is When Parents Are Children.
I wanted to explain a phenomenon that happens in some traumatized families that I don't hear talked about a lot. And that is, when you grew up with emotionally immature parents, the parents were treated like the children and the children were treated like the parents. So we hear a lot about how in these families, children are expected to take care of their parents,
I truly believe that some of these parents have a child because in their head, a child will love them unconditionally and will never leave them. This is not a good reason to have a child. And most people know this, but I really do believe that. So I think it only makes sense that when you go into parenthood with that mindset that you're having a child so that you'll have someone who will never leave you, it only makes sense that once they grow up and develop their own personality, you rely on them for your own emotional needs. If the reason why they're created in the first place is to meet the parents' emotional needs, what can you expect when the child gets older?
and to also take care of their younger siblings. But it goes further than this. When you grew up with emotionally immature parents in a traumatized family system, children are treated as though their needs and their emotions don't matter, and that the parents' needs and emotions are the only ones that matter. And when the children do have needs and emotions, sometimes the parents will attribute that to emotional manipulation.
Yes. They project their own manipulation and their own patterns of behavior onto their small children who are just trying to be loved and trying to survive. It's not funny, it's sad.
Oh, you're not really hungry, you're just trying to manipulate me. Children don't do that. They see their parents as gods, and they don't emotionally manipulate. If they are not acting correctly, it's because they're incapable of doing so at that time. Either have a dysregulated nervous system or something else is up. And it's a sign of abuse if a parent thinks that a child is manipulating them, or that a child's needs or will or self-expression is some sort of spite on the parent. This attitude existed in my family system, and it was never overtly or expressly said to me. But the reason I know that attitude is alive and well in our family is because every time I have had a child around me, or even a pet, or something that is perceived to be weaker than me, I have this irritation about it. How dare you have needs? How dare you be loud? How dare you be a problem to deal with? And I bring this up because the way that I treat my own body is exactly that attitude. A lot of us that grow up in these family systems end up in addictions because we're not able to feel our emotions anymore. And so we end up in something that will help us both numb and feel emotions of any kind. The messages and emotions that my body gives me, I feel slighted by. I have that same relationship with my body as my family has with a child, which is your emotions, your feelings, your needs don't matter, and you better serve me as the adult. And today I can hear those same voices that tell me to suppress, and I can instead choose to listen and validate the feelings.
Wow, that got really deep really fast. When you go through this as a child, you train yourself to completely deny your own needs. I love her. If you've watched any videos that I've done about TikToks before, you know that I love Ben Edwards at the Trauma Corner. But second to Ben Edwards is definitely this girl, and her name is Priscilla Davis. And her handle, if you want to find her on TikTok, is No Niche Zone Pod. She's really awesome. And in this video, she gives a really great explanation for why kids sometimes need to go no contact with their parent. That's to say, kids who are not alienated, who have to have a legitimate no contact with their parent. And she also talks about why these parents fail to understand why their kid has gone no contact. Definitely think this is relevant, especially with the amount of people who have become estranged from a parent.
Most of us, we understand that you did your best. Yeah.
The amount of times I have heard I did my best. Estranged children who have had to make a last resort decision to cut out a parent out of their life. We know you did your best. And we appreciate that you did your best. So thanks for doing your best. Okay, shutting up now.
Know you did your best, especially all of us who have grown up and become adults. We know how hard being an adult is in this society. It's a headache. We know y'all were going through it. We know y'all are the products of abuse. We know your parents, the silent generation before, we know they were treating you like shit. We know that y'all were suffering and struggling.
I get so frustrated with people who point out, oh, just imagine your mom as a child so you can have empathy for her and her trauma. Okay. I've been doing that for 20 years. I have felt bad for my mom for 20 years. I still feel bad for my mom. I know she had a traumatic childhood. If she was ACE score tested, it would probably be through the roof, but she won't admit that, and she won't admit that she needs to work on anything. And it's really messed up, I think, to make someone who's been abused try to think about their abuser and make them feel empathy for their abuser. I always bring it back to sexual abuse. Imagine if someone had been raped for 20 years by their parent. Do you think someone would tell them, just imagine your rapist as a child, try to feel empathy for the trauma they went through that made them this way? I think it's less common that people would tell someone that when they have gone through some other type of abuse. It's not psychological, but studies have shown now, and everybody knows, psychological abuse causes just as much damage as physical or sexual abuse. So we need to stop telling people to be empathetic for their abuser. Most of us who have been through childhood trauma and abuse by the hand of one or both of our parents, our whole lives we've felt empathy for them. That's what kept us in the relationship with them for so long. That's what keeps us feeling guilt and shame when we ought to feel empowered and free. So please stop telling child psychological abuse survivors to access empathy and forgiveness for their parents. I promise you we have access to that empathy. And I can only speak for myself, but I have definitely accessed that forgiveness.
Y'all were in these toxic marriages trying to raise us. We know all that. We have given you the grace for that. It's not about us acting like we don't know what you've been through. We do know, and we've given you the grace. The issue is that y'all are not changing. Hey. You're still doing the same stuff, and you don't want to acknowledge what happened in the past. Y'all have created these fantasy ideas of what our childhoods were like. My mom is a big culprit of that. It's, baby girl, you act like we were best friends. We were never best friends. You used to tell me that I'm not one of your little friends. And now that I'm an adult, there's this fantastical world of my childhood that you've invented and are trying to impose on me. And you're mad that I'm not rocking with it. because it's false.
Listen, my mom did the same thing, and I'm not rocking with it either. I mean, if you're a psychologist or researcher, leave in the comments below why you think they do this. You probably know more than I do. I'm not an expert. I'm just someone who's lived through this for 20 years. But in my opinion, why they make up this fantastical view of your childhood is because they cannot accept the fact that you did not have an idyllic childhood and that they were the culprit and the reason why you are now having to really work on healing yourself, facing all that trauma and abuse in therapy. They simply cannot admit that they have done anything wrong. Like, they can't do it. So what they're doing in their head is almost presenting to you what they want you to believe about your childhood. Definitely a form of gaslighting. I've been through having my parents say something very similar to me, and it was like, whoa, were we even living in the same planet this whole time?
And a lot of people came in my comments to tell me that's their experience too, of their parents like trying to have these close relationships now when they never made that effort to cultivate those close relationships when they were children. It ain't adding up. And then the selective memory, how they forget all the things that they did to you growing up, all the horrible moments.
It's almost like they've thought the whole time that you were going to forget everything. Don't underestimate your children. Children are smart. Children are resilient. Children will remember things.
And of course they forgot, right? Because for them, that was just a regular Tuesday. But for us, that's what we're sitting on our therapist's couch crying over for years, trying to like work through.
If any of this is relatable, please leave a comment down below and let me know your own experience. So this is by Madison.Humphrey with 2 Y's. This might be triggering for some parents out there. Skip ahead if you don't feel like that by watching something that might upset you. But this is a mom who's doing a reenactment of what it's like for alienating parents when they pick up their kid from the targeted parent's house. So, point of view, mom's picking up during the divorced parent kid swap. Now, I already watched this video. I'm not blind reacting to this one, and it is very accurate. I noticed as I watched it before that everything that came out of her mouth was a criticism. So as we watch this TikTok, I'm going to count up her criticisms or slights of the dad in front of the kid. So here we go.
You're 5 minutes late. What the hell? Hi, baby. How are you? Did you have fun or did you hate it? Can you turn that down? What the heck is playing? Oh my gosh. All right, come on, let's get out. Hi, babe. Why is she wearing one shoe?
I don't know.
Okay, every time. I swear, I've lost more shoes. Does your weird dog eat them? Did you?
Yeah, even the small things, missing one shoe. Most parents would not get upset over that, but they will get upset over every little thing. Also, they don't realize that once you start to co-parent instead of being in a relationship, having kids together, you're not in control of the way they parent to a degree. If they want to get their kids something to eat, they're allowed to get their kids something to eat, unless they have allergies or something like that. But my point is, you can't expect the other parent to suddenly bow down to your rules and your expectations when you've gotten divorced. Hopefully, you can work out a parenting plan so you're on the same page for the child's sake, but you can't expect to micromanage and control their every move. That's something I've seen these alienating parents do not understand. It's like in their view, when they get divorced, they've become the main parent and the other parent is like a visitor to them. It's really messed up.
Carl, where's her bag?
It's in the bag.
Why are you? Nope, she's missing 5 items. Where is your notebook? The red notebook I gave you to give Daddy. You don't know. Do you even see the notebook I told you about? 1 second, I need to talk to Daddy. No, see, every time she comes home from your house, she's talking back. Daddy brought his girlfriend. Which girlfriend did he bring? Red or black? You brought the psychotic redhead to your house when our daughter's there? I'm tired of it. No, you have ballet. If Daddy wasn't late, then you could stay and say bye a little longer.
We're
Sorry,
past
Carl.
10.
Call me tomorrow. We need to talk through some things. Come on.
Dump the redhead, she's psycho. Watching that was a little triggering for me, but God, It's very accurate. That's all I'm going to say. Here is Mr. Ben Edwards. I can't make a video without including one from the Trauma Corner, Ben Cole Edwards. In fact, I include one at the very end too because it's really funny for a moment of hope at the end. So stick around to the end of the video for that. But here's one from Ben Cole Edwards on TikTok. He's awesome.
If you went through childhood trauma, do you now believe as an adult that you attract toxic relationships? You don't attract toxic people into your life. You don't attract narcissists. You don't attract emotionally abusive people. What happens is your parents are emotionally abusive, and then you meet someone who is also emotionally abusive, but your parents told you it was love. So when that person comes into your life, it feels normal, and you think, this is love, and this is the love that I deserve because my parents told me. Your parents set the bar so low for love. They make you feel like you should love them. They make you feel like they give you love because they say, I sacrificed so much for you, and I put a roof over your head. And you think, oh wow, that's love. So when someone comes into your life and treats you the same, you think, love. I'll take some more of that, because you have no idea what love is. Sometimes the bar is so low for love that when someone comes into your life, even though they're still abusive and even though they're still toxic, they compliment you and you think it's the best thing since sliced bread because your parents brought you down and told you it was love. So when someone comes into your life and they're like, oh wow, I love your hair, you're like, let's get married. What the fuck? What do we do now? Because you're not used to that niceness.
I also want to add that kind of love, like any type of expression of love that you haven't received as a child from your parents, might also feel really uncomfortable and not so good. Roles of a codependent family. If you have felt as if you are in a codependent relationship with one or more family members, definitely want to include this video. Let's check it out.
Hey Jim, what are the rules of a codependent family?
Something like this. It's not okay to talk about problems. We're going to play a game called Happy Family,
Oh my God. I love this guy because what he's saying is so accurate, but the matter-of-fact tone, the way he's saying it makes it funny to me. We're not going to talk about emotions. We're going to play a game called Your Needs Don't Matter.
We're a happy family, god dang it. Feelings should not be expressed openly. It's not okay to have your own individual feelings.
Hell no, it's not okay. Are you crazy? Don't express your emotions. If you do, your whole family will think you're psychotic. You gotta be cool, calm, and collected. You cannot be different. You could not have opinions different from the family.
Communication is best when it's indirect.
Yikes.
Especially when there's one person that acts as the messenger for other people. That's what we call triangulation.
And triangulation, as we know, is very closely related to alienation. I really think, though, that alienation is a form of triangulation. I don't see how it couldn't be. Absolutely.
You have to be good, you have to be the best, you have to do whatever you have to do to make us look good.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge thing. It's just so relatable. It's not a goal for you to be academically successful, professionally successful, physically fit, attractive. It's not a goal. It's not something you should aspire to. It is expected of you. That is what is expected of you as a member of the family. If you do not have those expectations met, you are a disappointment. If you are not successful academically, professionally, in every aspect of your life, and if you don't reflect well on the family, then you are a failure and a disgrace and a shame on the family because it's expected of you. They might be proud of you or express that they're proud of you, but perfection is expected.
Be selfish, don't have needs, make other people's needs more important than yours. A big one is do as I say, not as I do. That's the hypocrisy that comes up in dysfunctional families. It's not okay to play or be playful. You can actually be afraid to even show that you're happy.
Even now, almost 2 years later, I still struggle with moments of joy and excitement and happiness, and being able to be fully present in those moments and allow myself to be happy.
Don't rock the boat. Whatever's going on, pretend you don't see it, don't say anything about it, and just play along. Those are some of the rules in codependent family.
Jim Brillin on TikTok. That was really good. I need to check out some more of his videos as well. So here's one, Dr. Kindra MD.
Pain travels through families until someone is ready to feel it. For many of us, our generational curse is avoidance. We come from people who just act like it didn't happen. But pain demands to be felt. And somewhere along the line, a child will be born whose charge it is to feel it. These are your shamans, your priests and priestesses, your healers. You call them mental health patients and label their power as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and the like. But these are the ones who are born with the gift of feeling.
This is
And as we
regarding
all know,
generational
you
trauma
can't
and
heal the
abuse,
pain that you
obviously.
refuse to
And
feel.
it is hard to admit that your parent has really hurt you, abused you, because then you have to deal with the ramifications of all of that.
It's my 5-year-old son showing me his bedroom for the first time. And he turned to me, without the context, this doesn't sound sad, but I'll tell you why it's sad. He turned to me in the middle of showing me his cool room, and he said, "Dad, I love you." Sorry, bro, 1 sec. He said, "Dad, I love you. Can you keep me forever?" Like he was a pet. He said that. It's like he's been waiting to say it the whole time, right? Can you keep me forever? And I said, of course I can keep you forever, my boy. And the reason that's so sad to me is that like a year after that, he said, "Can you keep me forever?" And I
It's like in his head, he knows subconsciously that he's being viewed as a possession, like a pet. Can you keep me forever? He's disposable. That is so sad. Oh my gosh. I know this is hard to talk about, but that's why I'm talking about it. To end this video on a note of hope, we're going to watch this 15-second TikTok by Ben Edwards of the Trauma Corner. I love this guy. I laughed out loud when I saw this the first time.
Ohana means family. And family means fucking nothing if they are abusive.
His eyes get really big at the end. So that's a reminder to anyone who's struggling with guilt or any feelings about being an outcast in their own family. Thanks for watching. This is the end of the video. If you've been watching a few videos now and you're not subscribed, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. If you have been through parental alienation as a child, please consider joining our support group. We have a great group of individuals who are dedicated to speaking out, supporting each other, and healing. Bye.